Okay, so we read question 1, and we know that we have to find the slopes of these three lines. So how we'll do that is we'll convert from general to slope-intercept form. Okay. Let me take care of 1 for you. In order to do this, you need to have the variable y isolated with a coefficient of positive 1. So I'll leave the 5y on the left. That means the 3x and the negative 10 have to go to the other side and take on the opposing sign. When you move a term from one side to the other, you switch the sign. This is when you're adding and subtracting terms. Switch the sign. Do you see how the negative 5y maintained that sign? Because it didn't move. The 3x and the negative 10, they moved to the other side, so they switched signs. Now, in order to get my format, what coefficient do I need in front of the y? A 1, a positive 1. So now I need to divide by the same coefficient. Very nice. Divide by negative 5. So that means I need to divide by negative 5 on the right. So both terms on the right will get divided by negative 5. So you end up with y equals 3/5 x minus 2. What, like the 3 and the 5, it's going to end up like this? Yeah, if you can see that far ahead. Okay, so what's the slope of this line? 3/5. Okay, so now you need to find the slopes of the other two lines. Go ahead and do that now. And then you'll see if you've proved whether it's a right angle triangle or not. Okay, so what did you guys discover? What are the slopes of the other two lines? Okay, for the second one, what did you guys get? Negative 4x plus 9. Divide by 2. So you get a slope of minus 2 over 1. Okay, so that one's not going to help us because this one's 3/5 and this one's 2 over 1. So those aren't even related at all, right? So you have to take this, find the slope of the third one. What did you guys get for the third one? Negative 10x, negative 18. Divide by 6. So you get negative 5/3. So it worked. This one is a right triangle. How do you know it's a right triangle? 3/5 compared to negative 5/3. That terminology is negative reciprocal. The rise and the run switch places as well as the sign changes. Okay? Because for two lines to be perpendicular, no matter what, one of them has to have a positive slope and the other one has to have a negative slope. And then to get them to cross at exactly 90, the rise and the run are completely opposite. Okay? So just be careful for you, if you're going to do a shortcut, you have to be careful about your sign. When 10 goes across, it becomes negative, and then you divide by 6. Okay, you guys okay on the first one? Okay, so let's read the second one together, and I'll give you a strategy. So a line passes through these 2 points. Okay, so you got 2 points in space, a line goes through it. And then it says determine the equation of a different line in general form that's perpendicular to the line that we just talked about with a y-intercept of 3. So what you might want to do here is the original line. What's the only given information from the original line? 2 points. What's the only thing you can do with 2 points? Find the slope. So use 2 points. Find slope. Okay, let's pause there. I'll have you do that. All right, what'd you guys get for a slope? Four over -3. Now what happens when you have a positive divided by a negative? The whole fraction is negative. Good. So this is -4/3. Now for our new line, that was from the original line. We got the slope. Just put in m right here. This is our slope. New line. It has to be in the general form. It's going to be perpendicular to this with this y-intercept. So first of all, because it says perpendicular, what should I do with this -4/3? Flip it and what? Change the sign. Good. So our new perpendicular slope will be +3/4. What's the other clue they gave you? Y-intercept is 3. So then you know that the b value is 3. All right, so you're going to want to build your equation with slope-intercept form. So you have to write this equation down, and then you have to do algebra to make it the general form. And the general form means that you can't have any fractions, as well as the coefficient on x has to be positive. So that means you put all the variables on one side or the other so that the coefficient on x is positive. Okay, so I'll let you guys try this. Okay, hopefully you have this equation written down. Now, if I told you that this equation is not allowed to have any fractions, no fractions, what do you need to get rid of? The 4. So if you have a 4 in the bottom, you need to put a 4 in the top. And if you're going to put something in your equation, whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So you multiply both sides by 4. This might be helpful to change colors. The only thing you got to be careful of is when you multiply the right-hand side by 4, you have to distribute. The 4 gets multiplied onto both. And now this is just a matter of execution. Yeah, so 3/4 times 4 is 3. Those 4s will cancel. And that was the whole reason why we chose 4. And then 4 times 3 is 12. So that's getting rid of the denominator part of the general form. What's the other condition for general form? The a has to be positive. A is the number on the x. So which number is on our x right now? Is it positive? That's a good thing. So you leave that stuff there, and I need to move the 4y. What sign is 4y going to get now on the right? And then this is it. That's what you want. That's the final answer. Okay, let's try number 3. Again, I'm going to help you get there. You're going to try and do it yourself. So it wants us to find an equation of a line in the general form. That's where we want to be finished with. We're going to have to do some work to get there. That is going to be parallel to this line. So this is just some other equation of a line, some other line, and we want our equation to be parallel to that, passing through some point. Okay? So this is where I want you to jot down like original line, 3x take away 2y take away 12 equals 0. I want something parallel to that. So what does that mean? Same slope. So what do I need from this original line? What do you need to find out about it? Its slope. How are you going to find its slope? We already talked about this. If it's in general form, what do you want to do? Convert it to this one. Okay, so try that again. Try your conversion. This is positive on the left. Do you see how this negative 2y is on the left? Pick it up and move it. What's it going to be on the right? Positive 2y. So you get 3x, take away 12 is positive 2y. Divide by 2. And there's the slope, 3/2. X, take away 6 is y. So there's the original line. We know the slope is 3/2. What do we want our new line to have a slope of? Yeah, because parallel, 3/2. So M parallel will also be 3/2. But this one's a little bit different than the one above. In the question above, what was the other clue? The y-intercept. What's the clue for this one? Just a point. So now you have to use this equation in the red box. This one's the point slope equation. Do you remember where you just put in the point x1, y1? And the slope m. So now we use some point P, -1, 3. So when you jot down this equation, this one's going to be on your formula sheet. You don't have to memorize these. I'm going to use my pointer for this one. What goes right here for y1? Excellent. And what goes for x1? Careful. What goes in for x1? -1. So you're going to have a subtraction of a -1, which will yield a +1. Some of you probably could do this in one step. I'm going to do it in two. X minus -1. And if you're at the point where you don't need to put that extra step and you just go to this, then I'm fine with that. So that's the equation of a line. That's perfect. This is really good. But except they have this condition. What do they want? What form do they want it in? They want it in general. So what do you know about general? Can't have any fractions beneath. And the coefficient on the x has to be positive. So do you see what's happening on the right? Will the coefficient on the x be positive? So then all this stuff on the left has to go to the other side. What do you have to do first, though? Times everything by 2. So let's do that. So on the left, you get 2y take away 6. And on the right, you get 3x plus 3. So let's go through this slowly. Why did I get 2y take away 6 on the left? What did I do? Just distribute, right? But what happened on the right? Does it look like only the 3 came in? Because what happened to these 2's? They cancel. So you can cancel before you distribute. That 2 goes with that 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So it's just 3 times 1, which is just 3. 3 goes inside, 3x plus 3. So now we have the condition where there's no fractions. But we need a positive. Is a positive? It is, right? 3x, that's positive. So send everything to the right. So what do I have to do with the positive 2y? Negative 2y. What happens to that negative 6? Positive 6. And then you have to put like terms together. So you got 3x, take away 2y, plus 9. The 9 came from a plus 3 and a plus 6. Parallel to the y-axis? That's like these ones, right? Are those examples of being parallel to the y-axis? Do you agree? Yeah. So what do these lines go through? What do these vertical lines go through? X values or y values? They go through x values. Like if this was 1, this one would be 2, is 3 and 4. What would this one go through? 5. So which one does R go through? Goes through that point. So which x value does it go through? Yeah, it's right here. This is the one we want. X equals negative 1. Final answer. That's all you gotta do. This equation right here, x equals negative 1, is the vertical line that goes through negative 1. It says, so no matter what y value you pick, x will be negative 1, no matter what. Okay. These 3 questions I want you guys to try on your own.